everyone, I am curious. I would love it if you shot me a message letting me know how do you bridge communication barriers? So from people who are on the ground to people who are in classrooms to people who are in organizations, how is it that you engage the public in honoring truth and history? How is it that you yourself are a person to be an advocate to honor the past to shape the future? So here I am. I know some people might believe it's a lost cause. Some people say it's a big one. And I know people may have their commentary. Plus, engaging with ignorant youth definitely has my heckles up a little bit. I'm sitting here like, don't take it personally. They don't know any better. Let alone, do they want to know better? Why should they know? So I'm here at Junipero High, and I came as an advocate and an ally and an individual of the Bay Area, as a native perspective of the Bay Area, to an organizer who has a good following, of people who want to honor truth and history. Though when we are on the ground and engaging with the younger generation, I don't believe that they have as an integral or deeper interest to engage in these conversations. One, they are used to it. Sometimes they're complacent. Sometimes they are the type to say why. And so as simply as saying we're dumb and getting on Snapchat and yeah, I was a silly person and I reacted, which I shouldn't have. And I just gave him a comeback that he gave me, so freedom of speech. But I know better, and I should do better. And I should be armed with a stronger arsenal of means of dealing with this. I have been in many circles lately that have been inspirational and motivational. And to be an advocate for truth and history, we need to do what we can, when we can, where we can. As simple as not letting one of these organizers be here alone. He has actually a whole bunch of people. They just couldn't be here. And it's understandable. So these kids here at this school don't really know. And they don't really care. Why should they care, right? They shouldn't know what types of people that their organization supports. They don't want to know what type of people implemented rules that affect them. They don't want to know bigger things around them that do have a say, because they don't think they have a say. So yeah, it might not be important to them right now. It may never be important to them, because maybe they don't want to know about the truth and history. Maybe they don't want to know about indigenous people's values. Maybe they don't want to acknowledge that they are on Ramatush Ohlone territory. Though I'm a person who would like to think there's hope. And when we start engaging the public and start allowing the opportunity of indigenous voices and perspectives to be shared and engaged upon, that we may better align our value system around that, to be better stewards of the land, to be better communicators, to honor all life, to acknowledge that it is sacred, to honor that water is life, and to ensure that, simple as cultural sensitivity, that California natives are still alive, that we are still here, and that there is a whole another perspective of history that gets swept under the rug, that gets negated, that gets disregarded. And so I am the type of person who wants to honor truth and history. From as simple as helping the one person, actually the many people who are here in our hearts, the many people who are here wanting to be present, and just to raise awareness, because some of these kids don't know, they don't care, and I do. And who knows? Who knows if we'll change the school's name? Who knows if that can even happen? But the least we can do is to let them know that there is another perspective, that they might be able to learn about truth and history, that they may be able to Google Junipero Serra and find something other than that he just was a saint, to realize that he did do the atrocious things that he loved to write about. He was proud of what he did. And yes, he wasn't a horrible person, but he was pretty bad. Know what I'm saying? Like, he believed in what he believed in. And he believed that the indigenous peoples of the land that he came in and colonized and occupied didn't have culture, didn't have civilization, and didn't have faith. So he wanted to bring that to them, which he was kind of deluded to do so. And there's so much more that I can still learn about. I can learn about where he went and his process. You want to learn about truth and history? Junipero is not a saint? All right. Do you know that you're on Ramatush Ohlone territory? Acknowledge the indigenous peoples of the land that you occupy in this post-colonial settler society. The kids waiting for their students. See? And getting laughed at and scoffed at. And it kind of hurts. Kind of stings. It's kind of frustrating. You know why? Because I just came from amazing circles. I came from amazing circles where people were saying, you're doing amazing work, that you are honoring your ancestors, that you are someone who's really awesome. And then having these youngsters, and then I go to elementary schools and I go to colleges, and these kids are like, oh my gosh, a Native American, oh my gosh, what you're saying is so real, oh my gosh, you're so amazing and badass, and I love your songs, and you're so cool. And then standing on the front line and getting negated and pushed away and scoffed at and engaged upon in a disrespectful fashion is slightly frustrating. So pretty much I'm asking you who may be on the front lines, you who may be in the offices, you who may be in these other circles, how do you engage people around issues that, one, you're passionate about, two, are bigger than some of the issues we have? There's other issues that are very, very big, and there's issues that need to be brought to the surface, and this is somewhat one of them. Of course, you know, we can go down the fine line of food and shelter and all that fun stuff, but what I'm trying to ask you is, how do you honor truth and history in your circles? How do you honor truth and history in raising awareness of how people can be advocates, how people can acknowledge the original peoples of the territory that they occupy? How do you do that? Especially when people don't have a strong interest. So I wonder if you can share this with other people, asking them when you're either on the front line or you're in an office who's like, oh my gosh, I would love to wear that headdress at that costume party because it's fun. I want to honor my Native American heritage. How do you engage upon that? How do you talk about that? How do we come together to honor truth and history from as simple as letting people know about a high school that has a name, about a person who may not deserve his sainthood, a person who was focused on his goal of colonization and focused on not acknowledging original peoples. Because the more and more we don't acknowledge indigenous peoples of the territories that we occupy, the more and more we marginalize those communities, the more and more we detach ourselves, the more and more that we enterprise on being colonizers, even if we are our own marginalized community. So it's kind of messed up, right? So here we are with our own struggles. We're in our own struggles and we're doing it to other people. So I'm just curious, how do you engage the public in honoring truth and history in simple, on-the-ground moments, and people don't get it? Yet at the same time, not even 24 hours ago, I had 200 people cheering. How is it that a few weeks ago I had 5 different classes not wanting to leave the classroom talking to me? And yeah, that sounds hella egotistical right now, sorry. No, totally stuck up with myself. Nobody's paying attention to me. Oh, it's so horrible. Oh, pay attention to me. No. I'm actually trying to say the content of which I'm trying to share. I'm trying to say in these circles that sometimes we get so comfortable around our communities and our societies and our environments that are so amazing, progressive, and then you come right into the heart of it, and all you have is the compassionate people and teachers who do want to honor that. You have one teacher in a whole school that wants that Native person to come and talk. You have that one council member who wants to be an advocate for truth and history. You have that one over here. Yet at the same time, if there's going to be change, if there's going to be a movement, or if there's going to be anything around that, how can you... if there's going to be a movement around that and it happens, then all of a sudden everyone's on board, like they've backed it. Are they doing the work? We need to be accountable as a community. All of us need to be doing this. And I'm not saying like all of you need to come out to this one location. No. We need to do what we can, where we can, when we can, in the environments that we can. Of course, safety and respect and all that. Like wellness, self-care. But also when you can, where you can. You hear someone telling mistruths. You hear someone suppressing others. Stand up in safe environments. I just would love to know how you interact with people who aren't ready or are unsure if they have the opportunity to listen. Oh, thank you. You have a good one. I appreciate it. How did that conversation go?
Well, actually went pretty well. He's definitely still defending the time period, defending corporal punishment.
Of a time.
And I was trying to say, okay, that was a time, but everything is connected. Oh, hey! How's it going, everyone? We had some great conversations. A lot of the kids were kind of just really curious, but standoffish. Had a little bit of negativity, but, that's because there's a lot of defenses going on.
Yeah.
So
how did the security and people, they wanted to make sure we're off the property. That's their rules. They want to make sure.
Yeah.
And so, but they were nice about it. They didn't just say, get away. They just kind of voiced, what's respectful. And we're like, okay, well, we will comply. We just want to honor the truth in history and talk to one of the dean's, staffs of the dean's office. Was he the dean or was he
just an administrator?
Administrator of the dean's office. And he was really nice too. And he's like, I am not against respecting and bringing into that perspective, honoring truth and history. So he was open, of course, standoffish, abrasive, but to just be, he's an advocate of this administration. He is a person of this building. And so, yeah.
Advocating, teaching the truth.
So, how were they afterwards?
Pretty good. I think they were just like wondering how long I would be still sticking around.
Right?
So, yeah, everything's okay, but, when how long are you going to be here? Anyways,
sign.
Oh yes, the
Right.
sign that we had one student kind of yelling outside the classes here.
And he's like, one of the teachers might not like that, or what are you protesting? We're like, honoring truth and history. The teachers might not like it. We're like, we already talked to them. And he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then he was watching for a good minute. That little window right there.
That's
cute.
right. So it was
really cute.
I'm so glad Canyon made it out. I'm glad that we're going live now. This has been a very amazing day trying to push the truth. I think we made maybe a dent in a few people, and maybe even a few people driving by. Well, time will tell.
I think we hit more people driving by than walking by.
Probably, yeah. Exactly.
But hey, the drivers are adults, right?
That's
the drivers are adults. So how do we hit the youth? I want to ask you, how do we hit the youth? Because they seem slightly disinterested. They seem to be focused on social media. So maybe if we had something a little more clangy and bangy and slangy and silly and juxtaposition-y and whatever, like how do we engage people around these issues in an environment that's not conducive of the simple, straightforward honor, truth, and history? Because honor, truth, and history sounds so serious. It sounds so focused on history books and, oh, you're going to make me read and you're going to make me learn this stuff. And I don't want to learn this stuff. It's back then and it's not now. So how do we engage them on a platform or a conversation that may be more conducive? And so... Did you know that you are on Ramatush Ohlone territory? Ramatush Ohlone, the first peoples before colonization, the first peoples before English was a spoken language, and the first peoples before the Spaniards came through. Yes.
Sure.
Yep. There are over 250 tribes in California. And just between the Bay Area, there are 8 languages spoken. San Francisco, down to Oakland, down to Monterey, 8 separate languages.
Yeah, they still exist.
And it's what's known as Ohlone territory. So welcome to Ohlone territory. And if you choose to learn more, just look it up. And then you might be able to learn. Ohlone. Ohlone.
Maybe when you were taught, they were called Costanoan.
Yeah, they said Costanoan, Ohlone, and then more languages are out.
Should put that on the sign. The buildings on site of
right? Yeah, the intention is to get more people to help us make those signs. We actually have a ton of people there everywhere else.
Yes. It's actually a national day of action at different schools.
Yeah. So we're everywhere.
That's a different message.
Oh,
well,
this is basically
because
going
Serra.
after the Serra High School. Last Sunday we were actually in front of St. Bart's with the same sign. You know, it's because it's kind of tied to the same thing. You know, teaching the truth in history when you have a name of someone on the wall here who's also been sainted. You know, by the Catholic Church.
Validating killing men, women, and children, punishing them just for not doing what they wanted them to do, cutting tips of their tongues off. Ohlone.
Yep,
Ohlone.
Thank you so much.
Of course, you have a safe drive. Have fun.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Nice. So, I really do appreciate that. I am reading it ish. More videos, right? More videos. Actually, I have a project that I want to work on with some peoples. So, actually, it's a project honoring truth in history. And so, for those of you who follow me seriously, the ones who actually manage to take time to watch my videos in time, I recommend you shoot me a personal message because I really want to hear it. That way, I can cue you in on my little Easter egg cookie special treat of a quick audio clip that I created to honor truth in history. And so I intend on making it a little stronger of a presence to honor truth in history. I'm trying to coin a name because right now it'll be fundamentally Bay Area based, but the idea is to create a template that other indigenous communities may take forward to honor their truth and history in their territory. So it'll be kind of like the idea of a skeleton key that is a learning evolutionary process that peoples can come together as indigenous voices, reconnecting indigenous voices for those who are coming into their community still learning. So you got those who have learned from the elders, those have learned from academia, and those who are relearning and re-engaging in their communities, and then advocates, allies, and accomplices, how they may be a part of it and not feel alienated or pushed away, because we need allies. We need people who want to help to honor truth and history and not be like above or below, just to be a part of, and how they can help and how the work that they have, especially for those who can really tap into some of the privileges that they are slowly realizing and can recognize that they have, even if we feel like we are marginalized or feel like we don't get solid privileges, those hidden nuanced ones that not everybody understands. So I ask you to personal message me so I may share a link that has just asking me for it, because it's a nice little clip talking about honoring truth and history, how we may work together and how we can turn it into a functioning, structured, not exactly business model, but something that follows that line with indigenous perspective as a core value and core mission, and how we might be able to engage in today's post-colonial settler society and follow through with the strategies of grants and philanthropic organizations wanting to know where the money goes. I have an idea, so help me get this seedling to get in the ground, and let's make it happen. So I appreciate whoever is watching, just a handful of peoples because it's in the afternoon, and we're talking about JuniperoSerraHighschool and how do you engage the youth? How do you engage people who may not know that they are on occupied Ohlone territory? And how do you share that in a non-confrontational, encouraging, empathetic, or at least sympathetic, that they may not know how to know, nor might they even be interested in knowing, but how do we help them get to know that little bit and they might become interested? So I ask that of you. Shoot me, messages. This school is in San Mateo, right? We're in San Mateo. Yep, we're in San Mateo, right off of the 92. The freeway's really, really close to me. Never knew it existed. I literally just learned about it from you. And so, here I am, all these statue issues, all these, and then there's these absurd policies going into play, and it's there's so many issues that I think they're just purposefully making us scramble and separate and have all this squabbling and frustratingness back and forth. They want POC issues to fight against indigenous issues. They want LGBTQ to fight for their right to have a part of the table and forget other ones and these and those. I swear all these issues are all related, and it all has to do with colonization, and it all has to do with being absent-minded of the sacred and having respectful interactions with peoples. And when we realign with Indigenous values, we realize, hey, let's acknowledge where we're at, and also acknowledge who we are. Who are we? Where do our people come from? And where are the people that originally were stewards of this land? And then how do you go forward with that conversation? And so you go forward with the conversation in saying, how do we acknowledge that history, and how do we make decisions that don't impact this community so harshly, such as developments and environmental impact hindrances, and also when it comes to decisions around inclusion of peoples, because I've been in some great conversations around that. So much that I needed to brief people on. So I bid you adieu, and shoot me a message if you caught that little Easter egg cookie idea, if you are down for the movement. Lots of love. Bye. Laters.
Nice. Teach truth.
Teach the truth. Honor truth in history. Even if it's just one or two people.
That's right.
Stand strong.